Nation.
SMD Law is the official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Check them out on the interwebs at smdalaw.com or at 866-529-3537. No matter where you are in the state of Michigan, Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, it doesn't matter. They have an office near you. So whether you need to send a letter to an annoying neighbor, or you're a criminal and you need defense, maybe you just have problems with elder law, check them out, smdalaw.com today. The official law firm of the Spartan Nation. Call them first. Then you act.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back. Spartan Nation Radio. We now bring in Spartan Nation senior writer and one of our longtime contributors, an all-around great guy, the great Johnny Shop. Johnny, how are you, buddy?
10 years in, we're wrapping up season 10. There is a lot cooking now. The weather may be cold. There's some strange things going on in the world of sports. You got Purdue going Purdue. You got wide receiver divas in the NFL going wild. All kind of fun stuff. And down here in my country in Atlanta, just hosted a number of Spartan students getting ready to graduate, along with the Dean of the Communications School, Dean David. So it's great to see those folks out here in Atlanta the other night. So the weather may be cold, but we are cooking to an interesting middle of March that we're setting up to start up this weekend.
John, we're going to dig in on this Spartan basketball team. Tom Izzo said earlier in the week, obviously at this point it doesn't matter. Then Purdue loses, it matters. I don't blame him. He was trying to keep his team focused. But, man, what a gift. You just said Purdue going Purdue. What do you mean by that?
Well, I guess that's why they call it Purdue. That's pretty much what Elton John was trying to write decades ago. Purdue University has a history of tripping on itself and coming from ahead to lose, or coming from ahead to falter. Unfortunately, they lost John Wooden way back when, couldn't get him back. That kind of sets the tone. They did get to a Rose Bowl in football, never won one, didn't really football-wise, other than the ridiculous bad luck of Robbie Hummel, who was a fantastic player who just, look, those knee injuries knocked Purdue out of Final Fours. There's always something with Purdue, and it really goes way back to when Glenn Robinson was leading the way for Purdue. Glenn Robinson was the best player in the country back when college basketball was a man's game, and I think lost in the Elite Eight. So I guess that's why they call it Purdue, is Purdue just coming up short. They did it last year. They did it in 2016. Looks like they've done it here again by losing to a 500 team in conference at best in Minnesota. Now we have it set up to where we may be sharing that Big Ten title again after this weekend is over.
John, I'm going to say this. With all the injuries that this team has had, with everything Tom Izzo's been through, if they beat Michigan on Saturday, and I'm going to get both of our predictions coming up here in a minute, if they beat Michigan on Saturday for sure the Big Ten title, I don't think it's close. I believe this is Tom Izzo's best coaching job. Your thoughts?
Well, it would certainly be, I think, in the top three. That's for sure. Tom Izzo comes from the era where the Big Ten regular season means a lot. Unfortunately, it doesn't mean as much today as it should, but it still means a ton to him. So I don't think there's any question he wants this one pretty much as bad as he can want anything. It would be a heck of a banner to have for the team, for what they have endured, losing two starters and dealing with some different challenges. And look, I mean, right now, Kyle Lawrence practically the starter. You can't forget him being fairly functional as well. So this would be quite a job indeed. Quite a job.
I was talking with Kyle Lawrence tonight, and he told me he's 50%. That's stunning, isn't it?
Well, it is, because at 50%, you would think, how could this guy give any minutes? Well, you get out there, you get some adrenaline flowing, the body gets loose a little bit, and then you can play for a little bit before you become not very effective. My hope for Kyle Lawrence would be shut it down in that ridiculous Big Ten exhibition tournament. Finish this season with whatever he's got in the tank for Saturday, and then shut it down. Because to me, that Big Ten exhibition tournament is still nothing but an exhibition tournament. There's no advantage to winning it, as we've seen at Michigan State as recently as 2016, when I believe it basically cost them a Final Four, at least. And I don't think there's any advantage to winning it this time. So all eyes towards Saturday night. It's going to be a classic. But after that, shut everybody down to rest them up for the NCAA tournament. I cannot say how little the Big Ten exhibition tournament means still to this day. So I hope that he is well for the actual dance, and I hope he can give him a few good minutes on Saturday.
John, let's stay right on the theme of Michigan State basketball. Tom Izzo and I were talking yesterday. We were really just kind of digging in on this basketball team and about all of it, the season, all of it. And, you know, he is a guy that absolutely values what that regular season title is. And I do agree with him. I just don't think it's that important. I don't think it matters that much. And I hate to see it. I know it was done only for money, but I still hate to see it. Your thoughts?
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as much as it used to. Here's the thing, and there's such a lack of leadership in the sport. And look, it was a really bad week for the sport on a lot of different ways across the country. But there's no value in winning the Big Ten regular season like there should be. What I mean by that is, to win the Big Ten regular season, you should get something of value, such as a first-round bye in the NCAA tournament. But we have all these conference tournaments. That's fine. We want to make them extra valuable. That's fine, too. Go ahead and give the winner of the conference tournament a first-round bye in the NCAA tournament. That does not mean that team is going to be advanced to the second weekend, my friends. That just means they don't have to play on a Thursday or Friday after getting home late on a Sunday. So if you put something of value into the Big Ten tournament, I would think more of it than just an exhibition, because there would be something to play for. But there is not. So as a simple sports fan, when you compare a season of 20 games versus a weekend of games, you've got to put more value on the Big Ten regular season. It meant a lot more in 1990 and even in the year 2000 than it does in 2020. That is just the way it is. I know Izzo has to accept that, as we all do. But if you're talking turkey, I still put more value in that Big Ten regular season. I know the head coach of Spartan basketball does. And because of that, and because there really isn't any reward for winning the Big Ten tournament, I think it's still mostly an exhibition. So I've got to side with the old school that the regular season is king.
Agree with you. So, John, let me ask you this question. Cassius Winston, is there any doubt at this point? He's clearly Big Ten Player of the Year, isn't he?
I would think he's the Big Ten Player of the Year because he's had outstanding achievement as far as statistics go. And he's also the most valuable player to his team, and he's probably objectively the most valuable player in the league, meaning you could put him anywhere and he would make a difference to any team. He has really rounded his game and gotten better kind of in each area, I think, since he started. And again, he is grown well into the role of being the point guard at Michigan State. Sometimes folks around Michigan State forget, but that is a national position. The point guard at Michigan State is always a known quantity and somebody that will have focus in college basketball because of the extensive history of that position at Michigan State. It's not that easy. Ask anybody that's tried to step into it. We've seen some people flourish. We've seen some people struggle with it. He is now in a position where he seems comfortable in his skin. He seems comfortable in the role. And let's see what he's got to deliver when the games are biggest this year. There's got to be some resolve in wanting to make right what went wrong last year, especially the way the team went down with 37 3-points attempted. So we are very interested to see what Winston does, and I do think you have to say this guy is pretty clearly the most valuable player in the Big Ten.
John, Spartan Nation's been reporting since last week that Nick Ward's going to play against Michigan. How big of a deal is that?
If he steps on the court at home, it's a big deal. The only backfire would be if for some reason he's not effective. But you'd have to think at this point in his career, at this point in Tom Izzo's career, I'm not going to put him out there unless he can be effective. We have seen only a few times guys try to play through things that they couldn't and actually have it backfire. I think to the unfortunate experience of Paul Davis when they had to take him out of the building on a stretcher because he was so cramped up. So I'm going to put that aside and think, they're not going to send Nick Ward out there unless he can be effective. If he can be effective, bring energy, bring minutes, bring fouls, that's only going to help Michigan State because we've seen the depth is an obvious, serious issue. You get Ward back, you've got some productivity, you've got at least some balance to give. You're not going to be asking him to win the game for you. It could only be a good thing, and especially at home, especially when you're playing for a championship.
We're talking to Spartan Nation senior writer John Chop. John, what's your prediction?
I think that you're going to see a pretty tight game. I like Michigan State by less than 2 possessions, which is less than 6 points. I would not be surprised if Michigan gets off to a better start than they did last time, and if they shoot the ball better. But I have a hard time thinking that Michigan can beat Michigan State at home when there's a share of the Big Ten title on the line.
I agree with you 100%. John, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Spartan Nation senior writer John Chop. Spartan Nation senior writer John Chop.